Hey everyone, I'm going to show you how to disassemble your Dimond and pack inside the hen house. These are the tools and small parts that I'm going to need. This is the derailleur bag that's included in the hen house and the hub protectors that are also in the hen house. I've got a pedal wrench and then 4 size hex wrenches, a 4mm, 5mm, 6mm, and an 8mm. First step is to remove the pedals. I'm going to use an 8mm wrench for these lip pedals. You might use an 8, a 6mm, or just a pedal wrench depending on what style you have. The next step is removing the wheels. I'll start with the front. Just undo the quick release and loosen the nut on the skewer. Then I can pull the wheel out of the dropout. Then I'll remove the skewer completely, place it back together so I can store it in the hen house. And then I'll put a hub protector on either side. Now for the rear wheel. Just got the bike on a stand to make demonstrating easier. I want to make sure I'm in my smallest cog on the cassette. And then again, I'll just remove the quick release. Drop the wheel out. Again, I'm going to remove the skewer and place the hub protectors. Now to pack the wheels inside the hen house, open up the wheel case, remove the inside flap. Start by taking my skewers and putting them inside this zippered pocket along the inside and zip it closed. First wheel I'll put in will be the rear wheel with the cassette facing down. I'll fold this separator over and I'll buckle it here and cinch it down tight over the wheel. I'll take my front wheel. I'll try and offset the hubs a little bit. Okay, with both wheels in place, I'll just zip it closed. Okay, now that the wheels are packed, it's time to work on the frame. I'm going to start with the beam, then pack the frame, and then lastly the fork. To remove the beam, I need to start with the main pivot bolt here. It uses a 5 and 6mm wrench. If you have a Brilliant or an early generation Dimond, that's all you have to worry about. For a marquee, I have a second bolt that you access through the lunchbox. Okay, starting with the pivot bolt. Again, I'll use a 6 and a 5mm and just unscrew each side of this male-female bolt. Now for the down bolt, open up the door, put my snack out of the way, and it uses a 4mm. You want to catch the beam as this screw gets removed. And once that's loose, just lift off the beam. To store this down screw, easiest way is just to thread it back into the frame. Same for the pivot bolt. I'll just put it back together right into the beam. Now that I've got the beam off, I'll just pack it inside the carrier case. First step to pack the frame is to remove the rear derailleur from the hanger. I'll start by pulling the Di2 cable, and then I'll use a 5mm wrench and undo the screw. Now I've got the derailleur off of the hanger, so I'll take the derailleur bag from my hen house, put the derailleur inside, and I'll also put as much slack chain in the bag as I can. And then I'll just clip it to the frame. Now the derailleur and chain are packed up, the last thing I'll do is place this dummy axle. Again, it's part of the hen house. A little tip here, I'll use the quick release lever to protect my derailleur hanger from anything that would potentially bend it. Now it's time to take the cockpit down. So depending on which model you have, you might have different size screws, but most of these are going to be 4mm hex. So to start, I'll loosen the pinch bolts. And then using a 6mm hex, I'll undo the top cap of the compressor. I'll pull this all the way out. Now I can just leave the whole cockpit intact at the stem. Lift the stem off of the frame. Before I continue, I need to pull the front brake cable out of the front brake. So to do that, I'll start by removing the super fork cover. And then this is really easy on the tri-rig. All I need to do is pinch the arms together, and then I can pull this little triangle piece right out and pull the whole housing out through the slot in the cable stop. Now all that's left is to remove the fork. So I'll separate the two, and I'll keep all my spacers and my top bearing all together. Pull them off the steer tube. I'll lift off the frame, and then I want to keep these all together, so I'll put them right back on in order. Now to put the frame inside the carrot case, I'll open up the frame compartment. Lay the frame down inside. This is a frame size extra small, but this carrot case fits all 4 frame sizes. I'll just zip it closed. And this bag is for the cockpit. It's got 2 sets of buckles. The ones on the top are just to close up around the handlebars. These 2 secure the bag to the frame bag. We'll start by putting the entire cockpit in. And closing with this top pair. Using the bottom pair, I'll secure it to the frame bag. Lastly, I'll pack the fork, so I'll replace the brake cover. Also, I'm going to put the top cap back on, and this will keep all the bearings and spacers together on the steer tube. I'll place the plastic dummy axle into the dropouts of the fork. This helps protect against compression. And then I'll put the fork in the fork bag. Now to pack the frame bag, I'll open things up. First thing you'll see is this big pocket in the side. It's a great place to put your pedals and your tools. To fit the frame, you'll have to maybe experiment a little bit to find the best orientation to fit your frame and all your gear. But for a general guideline, one of the best ways to orient the frame is with the head tube down on the small side by the wheels, crank facing up, and the rear dropout here near the pull handle. I'll pull out the fork bag and the beam. I'll fold it closed and zip. Now I'll just stand up the bag, Velcro the handle, and use the buckle strap to cinch the top tight.